This was supposed to be the first part of a series explaining what life is like as a pianist on a cruise ship. But because of this coronavirus, the plan has completely changed. Today we embarked. Today we got on the ship, about to start our cruise. I have a 3-month contract with AIDA Cruises as a pianist. I took this job because I thought it would be interesting and a good chance to improve my German. The cruise company that I'm working for, AIDA, gave us a little newsletter explaining the situation. Our first couple of cruises were destined for Norway, but that's been completely canned. At this point, 3 weeks of cruising have been cancelled, and we're going to be sitting in the port here for that time. And the plan is to resume cruising at that point. However, I somehow don't think the situation will be resolved by then. In 3 weeks, the situation will be worse, not better. So I don't see really any way that we'll be able to just embark on a cruise. Norway has completely shut its borders. So do you think they're going to shut them and then reopen them within 3 weeks? Probably not. We're looking at most likely a multi-month kind of situation. So basically, I'm going to be stuck on this ship for at least 3 weeks. There are no passengers on board, only crew. So what are we doing? Well, most of the crew will spend their time basically fixing the ship and tidying it up, cleaning it up, basically improving its condition. The singers that I've been working with are going to perform their shows regardless, but instead of a paying public audience, the audience will be comprised of crew members. I am disappointed about this. I wanted to see Norway, and that was actually one of the draw cards to taking this job. But the coronavirus came out of nowhere, and here we all are. Life has changed, and we need to adapt to it. I really can't complain. I'm in a pretty good situation compared to, well, basically most people in the world at the moment. I'm actually in one of the safest places in terms of coronavirus infection, because no one's allowed to come or go at the moment. So that means that the only way we can get coronavirus is if someone on the ship already has it and doesn't know it, which is possible, but not likely. Prior to embarkation, every member of crew has their temperature checked and completes a pre-embarkment questionnaire. The questionnaire gives a list of countries, and if you visited one of those countries in the last 2 weeks, then you're not allowed on the ship, full stop. So I should be very safe being on the ship, but there is always the possibility that someone already does have the coronavirus and will give it to everyone else. So I just want to let my friends and family know that I'm completely safe, I'm completely fine. AIDA has assured everyone, from the entertainment staff like myself to the galley or housekeeping staff, that our contracts are still valid. They're going to employ us and pay us no matter what happens. And unlike some American companies that have basically shut up shop and kind of let all of their employees just kind of go, AIDA seems to be pretty committed to its employees, which is a good thing. And it's basically footing the bill for the expenses that the coronavirus has caused. So for this kind of situation, I do think that I was pretty lucky in that I'm working for AIDA. They're probably the best company to work for in case a situation like this ever happens. So in this video, I'll chronicle a little bit about what happens on a cruise ship during a crisis like this one. So I won't be able to paint a typical picture of what life is like on a cruise ship for a pianist, but I'll be able to show you what happens during a coronavirus crisis, which may or may not be more interesting, depending on your perspective. I'll show you my accommodation. As it turns out, with this cruise line, pianists actually get their own cabin, which is pretty nice. So those are the beds. It's a 2-person room, but I'm the only one staying here, so I'll probably sleep on the bottom. It's just more practical, and plus there's less chance of falling out. Up here you can see some life jackets. Here's the bathroom. It's pretty small. To use the shower, you basically need to pull this curtain across. So as you can see, it's pretty crowded in here, but for one person it's quite comfortable. I have a show run through that I need to go and observe in around 25 minutes. The good thing about working on a ship is that everything's, a 5-minute walk away at most. I have stuff to unpack, so I'll do that now. Because I thought I was going to Norway, I brought a lot of warm clothing and neglected to bring my usual kind of summer clothing. So there's no real way to get off the ship and buy anything. So I'll just have to cut the legs off my pants or something. Haha, I'm not actually going to do that. So how is the coronavirus like impacting you?
The coronavirus is not good. I want to go home. But then if I go home and then lockdown, so
Yeah.
one tear. I'm just glad I'm on the ship because I don't want to be stuck like in Hamburg. I know I'm stuck in Hamburg, but I'm glad I'm on the ship in Hamburg, so I don't have to pay more money.
Yeah. Yeah. I reckon I was about maybe 5 out of 10 annoyed to hear that news today, but I wasn't really surprised. I was just
I was more surprised that they actually embarked us because I didn't think we were going to get embarked.
Right. Was sind deine Gedanken zur Coronavirus?
Zum Coronavirus. Ja, ich bin gespannt, wie sich das in den nächsten Wochen entwickelt. Also ob das Tempo weiter ansteigt, ob die Infektionen noch schneller sich ausbreiten oder ob das vielleicht schon ein bisschen langsamer wird und wir irgendwie sehen, dass die Maßnahmen, die jetzt getroffen werden, irgendwie Wirkung zeigen. Mhm. Und dann ist es, wir sind alle in diesem Geschäft, Kunst, Kultur. Das ist spannend, wie es dann weitergeht.
Wie lange hast du in dieser Branche, in der Kreuzfahrtschiffbranche gearbeitet?
Fast 10 Jahre.
Fast 10 Jahre.
Ja.
Und hast du eine solche Situation je gesehen? Oder?
Nein, als der Putsch in der Türkei war, haben wir aufgehört, in die Türkei zu fahren und solche Sachen. Also ich habe schon einige Programmänderungen erlebt, wo man relativ schnell entscheiden muss, was machen wir denn jetzt stattdessen. Aber so extrem habe ich es noch nie erlebt.
Ja. The artists that I'm working with come from all over the world. We have people from England, Scotland, Norway, South Africa and Ukraine. They're a really great bunch of people, very easy to work with, and we all get along very well. One of the nice things about being stuck on the ship is that we have a really nice view. It's interesting to see the different ships and watercraft moving by. And here's some video of Katie enjoying the view. Okay, just woke up and gonna go get some breakfast. Yes. It's pretty weird. There's no passengers around, so it's kind of eerie. Morgan. So during this quarantine period, they've moved from the typical staff mess into the passenger mess. So I think it's been done to boost morale. Hi. Morgan. Ollie! Because there are no passengers, the crew has taken over the passenger restaurant. So, yeah, it's quite an unusual situation.
So we're just stealing some bananas.
So here are a couple of my colleagues.
Hello.
So spirits seem to be pretty good despite the situation. Obviously we're not going to Norway right now, which is a bit disappointing, but what's your general kind of thoughts or mood?
I mean,
situation?
I'm feeling positive that we're going to end up sailing, and yeah,
Not yet.
it's nice just to get accustomed to being on the ship
Yeah.
without the pressure of guests.
This is the first time either of us have been on a cruise ship, so it's like the first experience we've ever had, and it's mental because like we've got free reign of the whole ship. I want to be able to get off the boat soon because
Hopefully, but I wouldn't get your hopes.
I don't want my first experience to be confined on the ship. But this is the best of the bad situation, like the best of the bad situation.
We can, yeah.
We're
I mean,
very
this
well
is
looked after. We're very well protected here.
In the first couple of days, a lot of time is taken up with safety training. Obviously, safety is very important on board. The way that you solve problems on board is not always intuitive. Quite often there's a unique way of doing things. Life on a cruise ship poses a unique set of problems that have unique solutions. Here we have some fire safety training, an explanation of the different types of fire extinguishers and which one to use in which situation, and also a demonstration of the use of a fire blanket. A number of years ago, AIDA's parent company was responsible for dumping some dirty bilge water into the ocean, which resulted in a huge fine and also resulted in a 5-year probation, which they're still on. So environmental compliance is taken very seriously. Okay, it's 10:30 at night and there's a crew party happening, so let's go check it out. Normally the staff aren't allowed in the passenger lifts, but since there's no passengers, we can do what we want. We just had another show tonight. I went and observed. My job is to check that the singers are doing what they're supposed to do and singing all the notes correctly. So to get to the so-called anytime bar, I'm walking across the open deck. Still pretty cold in Hamburg. And here we are. I should mention one thing about parties on board cruise ships. Some people have the impression that life at sea is basically one big party. That's absolutely not the truth. Most people on board work really hard, and at the moment they're all preparing for whenever the next cruise happens, which it inevitably will. Everyone is aware of and thinking about the current situation globally. This party is really just a way to relax a little bit and have some free time to contact their loved ones back home. Hey guys! Hi!
India! We are from India!
So like normally what time do you start work and then finish work?
We are starting in the morning 7 o'clock until the 2 o'clock.
7 o'clock?
Yeah, in the morning.
Until
2 o'clock.
2 p.m.?
2 p.m.
What about like normally, like before coronavirus?
Normally we have the break shift. We start in the 7 o'clock until the 10:50. And then again we come back in the 11:45 until the 2 p.m. Then again we go break for the 2:30 something.
Wow.
Then again we come back the 5 p.m.
Wow.
And then we finish for the night 10 o'clock.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So now it's like a lot
Now
more,
it's very enjoyable
a lot
work.
more relaxed.
Yeah.
So we have 3 shifts.
Yeah.
So breakfast, lunch, dinner. So that's why they divide like this 3 shifts.
Yeah.
So every shift we have maybe 4 hours.
Yeah.
So that's it. And now we have very less work, maximum 8 hours.
Yeah.
That's the goal.
I'm just outside the Anytime bar. People out here are smoking and basically taking a break from being inside. The general mood on the ship is pretty good. For most people, the current situation is actually a pretty good one at a personal level. They're working less, they're working shorter hours, and with no passengers around, life is a bit more relaxed. Okay, just walking back to my cabin. There are no passengers around, so it's a bit of a weird situation. So, the first couple of days of being on board have been relatively uneventful. Obviously, the cruise was cancelled, which was not an ideal situation. And obviously, the coronavirus is still getting worse and worse out in the real world. So I think the main thing is to just remain flexible and to be ready for whatever happens, because the plans can change from day to day or even from hour to hour. Obviously, we would all like to be able to cruise to Norway, and we would like even more for the coronavirus to not be a thing. But all things considered, we're pretty safe and happy on board this ship. There's a couple of things of interest which I forgot to mention earlier. Once a day, everyone on board has to have their temperature taken. From 10 to 11 a.m, there's a big line outside the medical centre. Hand washing has really been ramped up, so before every meal, we have to wash our hands and then disinfect them. And shaking hands has strongly been discouraged, so it's a lot of fist pumping going on instead. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in the next couple of weeks. It's quite possible that they'll completely cancel all cruising, essentially. Just don't know what will happen. No one knows what will happen. So stay tuned for my next episode, hopefully in a couple of days.